Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem Shalom, Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem Shalom, Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem Shalom, Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shalom. Please join me with us as we are here for Shabbat and for Yom Tov. Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem Shalom, Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem Shalom, Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem Shalom, Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem Shalom. Shalom. Shalom Aleichem. Aleichem Shalom. You want to start?
So good evening, Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach, everyone. We are so excited to be here with all of you on this Shabbat and this Yom Tov, this good day of Passover.
So I want to invite folks as you're coming in to find your seats. Oh, Sensei Koshin, you come up right over here by me and sit right next to me at this table here. If you need anything, how many of you are really happy to be here in this room? And I hope I'm looking at the right camera, but how many of you are happy to feel this rejoicing music online? We see you. You have a guide also, Ben Freeman. I don't know where he is, but he's going to be checking in with you all throughout, in addition to our amazing team that is online supporting you. So we expect that everybody here is going to be in dialogue with each other. So we're going to sing this one more time because guess what? Shabbat Shalom. It's Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom. 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 Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem. Can we all say that? Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem.
So welcome everyone, welcome. We have folks in the room, we have folks on Zoom, and we have folks that are going to join us in all different kinds of ways. So, as we welcome everybody into this room, we'll do introductions in a moment, but I'm wondering, our incredible executive director, Sarah Sokolic, would you do our first welcome this evening? They got you. Yeah, just keep talking and they'll turn it on.
Shabbat Shalom. I tried to turn it on myself. Okay. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach. Thank you for that round of applause. That just made my day. So I am Sarah Sokolic. I know some of you here. I don't know a lot of you here. And I'm so happy to welcome you here to Seder Queen this evening. I'm a co-founder of Lab Shul, and I am just privileged to be here in person after 2 years of being online. I mean, that really deserves a round of applause. I'm welcoming almost 200 of us here in person down here on the balcony level as they're filling in, and also online. Where are my cameras? Where are my camera shots?
One there and one there.
Okay, so y'all online, you're representing 23 of the United States,
Wow.
plus Canada. And I know that some of you from here are from Israel and California and Maine and other places. And so thank you for being here. It's really a global community here at Lab Shul. Yes, Phil? And the UK, thank you, thank you. So if you are joining us online, I invite you to please turn on your screens. I know that in this Zoom world, we're a little bit screen shy sometimes, but we do try and create digitally intimate community if that's really a thing. And I think that Lab Shul has done that over the last 2 years. So if you're able to, please turn on your screens. We're going to be engaging you with the chat in the same way we're going to be engaging our community here in person. And actually, is Clergy Ben going to be, our Associate Clergy Ben is going to be on our chat. He's here, so he'll be bringing the room. He's bringing the room to Zoom.
Sure.
Okay. I will, thank you. Okay, so we are, if you are not familiar with Lab Shul, we are an artist-driven, everybody-friendly laboratory for sacred Jewish gatherings. Lab Shul consistently experiments with new approaches to Jewish ritual, to interpreting ancient texts, traditions, and our inherited stories in ways that are meaningful, relevant, and sometimes radical, as a way to provide access to those of us who may have been historically marginalized from Jewish spaces and practices for any number of reasons. Tonight's Seder centers Jews of color in the retelling of the Exodus story. Our goal is to lift up the work of Jews of color in spaces that have been historically predominantly white, including here at Lab Shul. In this space, we affirm that Jews of color are integral to Jewish continuity and to all of our communal spaces. Before we head into ritual space, I do want to acknowledge the work of Lab Shul's Racial Equity and Action Delegation. We call that READ. It's a multiracial group of Lab Shul partners that has come together over the past year to help lead Lab Shul in our efforts to become an anti-racist spiritual community and to eradicate white supremacy culture in our organization. We are and I know some of our folks from READ are here today. You'll see some of them on the screen as well. We're really only at the beginning of this work, and we know that it will be a long road ahead. And so I thank you, READ members, and everyone who has committed themselves to this work. We are so honored tonight to have beloved Lab Shul partner and staff member Louis Burgos, who is serving as our artist in residence for tonight's Seder. And we are particularly excited to be part of the public debut of Louis's Haggadah, Moses of the City, which centers Jews of color perspectives and understandings of Passover through Louis's visual art. On behalf of Lab Shul Louis, I want to thank you for sharing your vision with us, for trusting us to serve as your artistic doulas. Please, let's continue this holy work together. Thank you. I would also like to thank our institutional partners, all of whom have helped to co-create tonight's Seder, who will be leading various rituals throughout the evening. These are JOCI Mishpacha Project, Lunar, Asian Jewish Film Project, Mitsui Collective, and Amud Jews of Color Torah Academy. There's information about all of these amazing organizations on your tables, and of course you can find them online. Finally, I want to thank the Marlene Meyerson Manhattan JCC for hosting us and serving as gracious hosts, and for their staff who is working tirelessly behind the scenes with us to pull all of it together. And I want to thank the Jews of Color Initiative for their financial support of the Seder and for their partnership and trust in Lab Shul as a site host for their inaugural cohort of JOCI Fellows. And Kavi, I know you're here tonight. Thank you, Kavi, representing. And Mariam, you're online. We see you. Okay, so I'm going to get into some housekeeping for a minute before we get into ritual space. So as you were informed, we are please asking everyone to wear masks indoors until we are doing a few ritual moments where we'll be inviting people to remove their masks to eat and drink. We will not be serving a lot of food in here. Some of you have asked to have opted to eat on the terrace. Thank you for respecting the mask rule. We do try and keep everyone as safe as possible and make everyone as comfortable as possible. So please do keep your masks on at all times when you're indoors. Thank you so much. Okay, the exits are to the back and to the front of the room, and the restrooms are behind this wall there. So that's some housekeeping. All of the liturgy for tonight, some of you asked about, do I need to bring my Haggadah? No, actually, we do have one of Louis's copies on the table that's for display and for your access for tonight. Please don't take it with you. It is available for purchase at louisontheblock.com. But all of our liturgy will be projected behind me on this giant screen. You can see how accessible that is. So that's what's going to happen in terms of liturgy. Dinner, food, come on. Dinner will be served family style. We'll be giving more instructions about how dinner is going to work when we're ready for that moment, but we'll be looking for a couple of volunteers from each table to collect the trays from the kitchen to bring, and then we'll be asking everyone to help clear when it's time. If you opted to eat on the 7th floor terrace, you will be given instructions when to go, how to get there. There are tables set up outside. If you chose indoors, please stay indoors to eat so that we can accommodate everyone who requested to eat out of doors, okay? If there's any questions about that, you can find me. I'll be at the back of the room. Okay, let's see. Yeah, we're trying to keep things on time. I am not helping that right this very minute. But I will ask you to please move as quickly as you can when it's time to transition out and when it's time to transition back. Our hosts have asked us to be out here, out of this space at a certain time, and we would like to honor that. And we would like to honor the time of the people that are working with us today. And I'll just say, nothing is perfect tonight. We may not have shown up in the ways that you may have wanted us to tonight to provide you the Seder. It's been a couple years since we did a big event. We're a little rusty. So I just ask everyone to be our partners in ensuring that everyone has a beautiful time here. We'll do the best we can. The
Can you
staff
put the
here and the
volume on the
volunteers are
iPad
doing
while you're
everything they
figuring
can.
it out so I
Thank
can
you for
listen?
being here tonight. Love you. That's it. I just hope we have a beautiful evening ahead. Everyone on Zoom, we love you for joining us digitally. And now I'll hand it back over to Naomi and the ritual team.
Can we give her a big hug? Hi, Marcus.
Hey, Naomi. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm feeling a lot of spring today.
Yeah, right. So if you didn't notice, Naomi is rocking sort of a pink
I'm
springtime
a flower
look.
petal, basically.
A
is
flower
what's
petal?
happening.
And I have a sort of Sol LeWitt designed kippah. We're trying to bring in some of the colors of spring, because what is Passover if not a festival of the spring?
So we're hoping that this is a spring awakening for a lot of folks here, feeling that weather in New York City and wherever you are at home. Maybe there's a spring in your step as you sit down in front of your computer. You may have been to Seders all of your lives, and this may be your first Seder that you've ever been to, and everything in between. And everyone here is arriving for different reasons. And so we want to kind of invite that in tonight. However and whatever and wherever and for whatever reason you are here, you are welcome.
Just like all of you here are here for some reason. Here in the room or here on Zoom for one reason or another. So too are all of these ritual artists here in this room and the ones that you cannot see. We're all here for our own reasons. So we want to invite this question into the space. What are you here for? We're going to give you all a moment to think about that. And what's going to happen is the ritual team here is going to list off what it is we're here for. And then we're going to pass it all to you. So my name is Marcus Hawley. My pronouns are they and he. And in addition to being a Magid, a sacred storyteller in the Jewish tradition, I have the honor of being on this ritual team as a queer, Black, Jewish by choice person. And I personally am here for communal uplifting and connection.
I'm Naomi Less. I'm one of the founding ritual leaders and the associate director here at Lab Shul. I am a white, Jewish, Ashkenazic woman, and I am here for courage and for catalysts.
My name is
Dr. Harriet, I wonder if you would, she's good, okay, great. One more second, we'll turn that mic on. We got you, they'll control it from up top.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we'll just lift the volume on that one.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kohenet Dr. Harriet Wims, and I am a Black, queer Jew by choice. And I am here for honoring all of the lost ancestors and the queens, the regal ancestors whose resistance brings me here to this very moment.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rabbi Noam Lerman. My pronouns are they, them. And I'm a white, trans, Ashkenazi Sephardi Jew. And I'm here for listening to liberation stories.
Hi, I'm Covey, and I'm here for Lab Shul.
Covey, would you hand it to Louis right behind you?
Hi everyone, I'm Louis Burgos. I use he, him pronouns. I am here for liberation through catharsis.
Hello, everybody. I am the Reverend Derek McQueen. I am a same gender-loving Presbyterian minister, and I am coming to Seder for remembering of the tumult of salvation and liberation's journey and that very starting point. Here, what for me is Good Friday.
Hello, I'm Koshin, and I'm here for clarity, courage, and compassion.
Hi, my name is Ben Freeman, also known this evening as Clergy Ben.
That's gonna stick.
I am a white, queer Ashkenazi Jew. I am here for a journey out of the known and into the mystery.
So now that our team has said what we're here for, as promised, you all are now going to have the opportunity. We want to give you all sort of a minute or so to talk to each other, turn and talk to each other and say, what are you here for? And share that with one another. Our good friend Clergy Ben is going to be monitoring the chat. And we're going to give the Zoom room a chance to sort of answer this question as well. We're going to give you about a minute for that.
Oh my God. Call him back. Just call them back.
Okay, friends. Now that you've had a chance to share with one another, we're hoping to sort of bring you back into our ritual space here. And Ben,
Yes.
would you like to share just a couple of observations from the chat with us?
Yes, I'm seeing in the chat so many people are here for community, for belonging. People are here to learn something tonight, to tap into something tonight that they wish to then take with them toward the divine and also in their acts out in the world. That's a lot of what I'm seeing: belonging, community, and a sense of what can we gather here tonight that we can bring forward.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ben. Yandai, 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 tonight? What is it that we're going to do tonight? We're going to have a number of rituals, of course. We have a lot of symbols. Some of them are edible. That's exciting. We're going to have story. We're already singing. Thumbs up, check, huge high five. We're going to eat. And we're also going to invite you to participate in the creation of those symbols as well, too. Ben has so beautifully set up here in the front a ritual table, and I don't know if we can zoom in on that so that the folks on Zoom can see. On this ritual table, you'll see our Seder plate. Everybody has a Seder plate on their table. But around our Seder plate, we have some additional bowls. We have certain symbols that will be part of this ritual, and as Judaism, as all religions, hopefully, are continuously evolving, we had invited you to bring some sort of a symbol to add to the Seder plate. We tell the story every year of coming out of Mitzrayim, from that word many of us know. If you've never heard this word before, the root of it is from narrowness, from a place of narrowness. And so as we head out, hopefully, through this journey out of a place of narrowness tonight, we invite ourselves to utilize these symbols to help catalyze us on that journey. So I'm sharing that there are a lot of new symbols that have been created. I mean, there's a million. Does anybody know any symbols that they've added to the Seder plate as of recent times? Call them out. The orange for, LGBTQ, right? LGBTQ plus. And we want to continue adding things to the Seder plate. So you see there are these red bowls, these 5 red bowls alongside. And if you brought something, or even if you have something just that you think is going to symbolize something for you tonight, we invite you to add them to this communal Seder plate. Thinking about what narrow places are you coming from and what kinds of liberation are you seeking tonight? Tonight, this is the night. So at any point in this nighttime, this is like one big fat open table. People can stand up, they can sit down, they can go to the bathroom, and you can come up and add your ritual item into these plates. There are already a few that are collecting. Just don't forget to collect it at the end of the night when you leave. But we invite you to do so. And if you have not already placed an object, maybe there's an object in your mind, if you didn't bring one, that you want to even like ceremonially and symbolically just place in the Seder plate from your heart. On your Seder table are a few different tools that you have, including a menu, both a meal menu, but also the menu to the 14 steps that we're going to be taking. So you can follow along there as we head into all these rituals. We have one more set of being called to presence before we begin our first ritual.
So that word Mitzrayim, coming from a place of narrowness, this year I'm starting to sort of understand that narrowness has dimensions. It's not a static idea. We can be narrowed in our experience, narrowed in our presence, narrowed in what we understand. And so before we go into these 14 steps of liberation and freedom, I want to take a moment to expand our narrowness as it relates to the land that we're on now. This is historically native land, Lenni Lenape land in particular, but I also want to expand that thought just a little bit. In Central Park, there was a community called Seneca Village, which was one of the largest, if not the largest, communities of free Black people in the United States from 1825 to 1857. And that community was destroyed to create Central Park using the principles of eminent domain, which sounds a lot like manifest destiny, this need to expand and keep building. And I'm thinking about what Sarah Sokolic was saying earlier about becoming an anti-racist organization. And I think part of that process as a community means thinking about these things and living with these things as part of our own experience. And so with that in mind, that narrowness, we're now going to go into the 14 steps of this Seder to move from the narrowness of mind and heart and body into the expansiveness in our thinking and our doing. And to start that off, we're going to sing Min HaMeitzar. It's a psalm that's going to invite us to ready ourselves. And the words Min HaMeitzar karati ya, amer b'merchav ya, from a narrow place, I called out Yah. The answer came with divine expanse.
A new and already dear friend, Kohenet Dr. Harriet Wims, to kick off the first step of this Seder. Are you ready?
Are you all ready?
Are they ready? If
I'm
you are ready,
so
say
ready.
Hineni. Here I am. Hineni.
Hineni.
I am so excited to be here with you all. My name is Dr. Kohenet Harriet. Kohenet being an ordained Hebrew priestess. And as part of our tradition, we study 13 netivot, which are archetypes of the divine. And one of those, netiva, one of them is the queen, Givorah. She says to us, I am the matriarch, the warrior, the comforter, all in one. The queen is the embodiment of strength, power, guardianship for individuals and for our society. So I ask you, who, what, how are the queens in your life? What are your queens in your lineage? Beyond gender, beyond colonialism, who are the queens who have brought you to this point?
So we're ready to really ignite. Dr. Harriet, we're ready to ignite and light these lights, these candles. And you may notice, and if we can get this on the screen so people can see on our altar here, that's already being enriched and populated. We have 3 candles, 2 for the holiday, the festival, and for Shabbat. And that third candle, thank you, I'm too close to the monitor, I know better than that, okay.
So on that third candle, we want to invite in the idea that there are, as we take another trip 365 days around the sun, there are empty chairs at our tables in our hearts. There are folks here who we've lost this year. There are folks that we wish could be here. Some of us are in deep mourning right now. And we also know that there are a lot of lives in a terrible war that is happening right now, being lost across the world in Ukraine. So we light, and we'll talk more about ancestors in a moment, but we light that candle as we say the blessing with both the joy, as Rabbi Amichai would say, the joys and the oys, right? I want to invite in a special tune that my own mother, Madeline Less, who left this earth in 2016, taught to me growing up. She's my queen. I thought it appropriate to bring that Queen's tune into this moment. You do have candles on your table as well. And you do have matches. So if there's somebody who wants to light candles for the table, please do so. We'll hold this tender space right now. And hopefully the lights are igniting all the Zoom rooms, bringing a glow into your cyber Seder table. Ata Adonai Eloheinu Ruach haolam Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'adlik ner shel Shabbat v'yom tov. A blessing in the presence of the infinite. We treasure these sacred traditions as we ignite the healing light of this Shabbat and festival light. I want to invite in my sister, my co-conspirator and colleague, our Shira Klein, to our screens to offer us a moment of presence in the here and now.
Hi everyone, welcome. Happy springtime, Chag Sameach, happy Pesach. My name is Shira Klein. I'm a co-founder and spiritual leader of Lab Shul, and I am here for change. And there's a blessing for that. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Ruach haolam shehechiyanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. A breath. In the presence of the infinite, we pause with gratitude, honoring all of the journeys that have brought us to the here and now. And that blessing, this blessing is just one of many, many blessings that compose the entire story right here in this book. So as you move your way through the journey tonight, I want you to ask, what am I saying Shehechianu for this year? Because the story within Shehechianu is a story of life. Honoring all that is, but also meeting it in the middle, right in the center of that word, chai, in conversation with life. So what are you leaning into in life this year? What must you lean into this year? What will change the course of life tonight? Wherever it may be, may it be so. Chag Sameach.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Ruach haolam shehecheyanu v'kiyimanu Azman Hazeh.
Are with us, the protectors, the guardians of our very tradition, have been invited into this space, into these chairs, into the empty chairs at your tables. And I want to lift up the images from the wisdom oracle created by Kohenet Kitsira Lesser, the queen, Hama Agelet. The queen says, may we know and embrace the fullness of our power. May we exercise the power of connectedness to bring together blessed community and collective. May our connection to self-sovereignty. And you know, it was actually 2 years ago in my Kohenet training that I heard the term self-sovereignty. And I was shocked. What do you mean that I can actually take agency for myself? So maybe that's new to someone else and I'm sharing it today. May our connection to self-sovereignty be aligned, be clear, be purposeful, and be strong. How the queen shows up for you and what is the queen's role is what brings us to this point in this service, that I am my own sovereign. I'd like to also introduce Yoshi Silverstein, who is the executive director of Mitsui Collective and a dear, dear friend of mine.
Thank you so much, Dr. Harriet. It's so wonderful to be here with everyone. Going to guide us in an embodied practice, exploring what does it mean to be fully present in our embodied sovereign selves, to feel that sense of being in body and being in presence and in the dimensions around and above and below. So I invite us to begin by turning our attention to breath, closing your eyes or softening and lowering them, bringing both of your feet firmly onto the floor. Begin with a couple deep breaths. And come into our practice first with bringing our attention to the dimension below us, feeling our feet on the ground, feeling the seat below us, anything that's connecting directly to the earth. We feel that sense of groundedness, of being held and supported by the earth below. Next, we move into the vertical dimension of our length. So noticing the length all the way from the toes, through the feet, the legs, all the way up to the top of our head, to the crown of our sovereign self. Allow yourself to be fully in the length of your body, not trying to be any taller than you are, and also not letting yourself be diminished and be smaller either. Be present in the full length and the sovereignty of the length of your body. Move now into the width of our body. So you can imagine a couple pencils or crayons or two little lights starting at the top of your head and tracing along the sides of your body. Notice here the sense of boundary between the body and that which is around your body. Allow yourself here to be in the full width of your body, neither taking up more space than you need to, but also not less. The full width of your body and your presence. Bring attention and notice now to the back body. Notice what feels you notice when you lean back, being held both by what may be supporting you, the chair, the back, and also being held by your body itself as you lean back and feel that tension keeping you up. Invite us here to imagine that we have loving hands at our back, the support of those in our lives or who have been in our lives who have always had our back. Who are those people? Notice who comes to mind when I invite us to think about those hands at our back. Now bring our attention to the front of the body, bringing the attention to the dimension and the dynamic of facing towards something, facing towards many pathways that lay in front of us, to the unknown, to the wilderness that we enter as we leave the constriction and narrowness of Egypt and of slavery and face the wilderness of the unknown. And finally, we return to breath and now allow ourselves to be in the seventh dimension. This is the sacred center. So breathe here into the entirety of our bodies, into the entirety of our presence, into the knowledge of being in this seventh dimension as a dimension of Shabbat, of rest, a dimension of Shemitah, of release, a dimension of Shalom, of peace and Shlemut, of wholeness, of Lashev, to sit, to dwell, to be in presence. Breathe into the entire sovereignty of your body, the sovereignty of your presence, and the knowledge that you are helping to make this space what it is, that without your presence, it literally, truly would not be the same. Each and every one of you, each one of us, makes this space more whole and more complete. Invite us to take one more deep, expansive breath into that feeling of presence and wholeness and completion. Nice and slowly let it out. And as you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes back up. Come back into this space. And I invite and request that we keep this sense of presence, this sense of completion and wholeness together as we move through the Seder tonight.
We invite you to lift the first cup, transformation toward your sovereign self. And I'd like to invite community member Eve Glasgow to stand and offer the blessing in English, if you will.
One housekeeping note is as you pour your glasses of wine, we'll just invite you to just gently, when it's time, lift your mask and take a sip, and then please put your mask back on. So Eve, would you?
A toast in the presence of the infinite. We savor the blessing of transformation. Vine to wine.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Ruach haolam borei peri hagafen. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
We are writing each other's
freedom stories,
writing the way toward our true self. We are writing each other's
freedom stories.
planting the seeds of holiness.
We are seeking wholeness. We are
breaking We're going to move now to washing our hands. But I want to sit for a moment in the idea of pouring libations.
So let's, Ricky, can we turn up this auxiliary mic a little bit?
Can you hear me now? Right? Okay, wonderful. We're moving to washing our hands.
We're hot, second step.
And we're also going to fold into this step the tradition of pouring libations, which we find in African traditions, Latin traditions, Asian traditions, as a way of honoring our ancestors, of paving a way toward a new beginning. And so, as we pour, I ask you to honor the element of water, Yamaya. Water is not just about how we use it as humans. It becomes a sacred object when it is considered that way.
Dr. Harriet, I noticed that there are 2 cups on our Seder table. What is that cup that you hold in your hand?
I need the mic. This is Miriam's cup. And we honor Miriam because when she was leaving Mitzrayim, what did she bring with her? Her tambourine, her timbrels, because she knew even as they were leaving the narrow place, they would come to a place where they could celebrate again. And so we lift up Miriam's cup to honor hope and belief in new beginnings.
Thank you. So we have a Miriam's cup on our ritual table symbolically, as well as a Kiddush cup.
Thank you so much, Dr. Harriet, for helping us prepare our hands. So we've now arrived to the Karpas section. We get to feel and taste the green vegetable that reminds us of the springtime, reminds us of bursting and blooming and all the plants waking up around us. And then we also dip that in the salt water, which helps us remember all the grief that we're holding and the sadness. And the water that's in that salt water hydrates us, helps the plants grow. But the salt actually holds back growth from plants. However, in us, when we shed tears, it helps us release and it helps us really feel our feelings. And shedding tears and feeling our losses is part of our own growth.
So thinking about loss and growth and grief, I think we've all really been through that in some form or another over the last 2 years. And as part of dealing with that, we've become kind of accustomed to or familiar with this sort of choreography, this sort of sacred dance of masking and unmasking. And for this particular moment in the Seder, we want to actually honor and use the mask as a ritual item.
So this mask is here that's concealing part of our faces, but it also allows us to be safe, be more safely together and gather in this large group. And so we just really get to hold that paradox of how the concealing helps us be close to each other and to be here.
So speaking of paradoxes, we're going to do another sort of turn and talk moment, both here in the room and also in the chat. And we want to invite you all to sort of speak to each other in a few 3 to 5 words to share where are places in your life, or where's a place in your life that you're holding both hope and despair. I know, right? It's kind of heavy. Profusely.
Salt water on the table. Do you want to grab?
Okay. So whether or not you were ready to jump into this sort of heavy conversation, it sounds like you've all sort of gotten the hang of it. So I want to sort of bring us back into our ritual moment. And Ben, not to put you on the spot, but if there are any sort of interesting observations from the Zoom chat about this question, where are you holding hope and despair? We'd love for you to read a couple out for us.
Yeah. I'm seeing people holding hope and despair in the context of COVID, and what it's like to be in year 2+ of this experience together. Hope and despair around the future of the climate. And really, it sounds like, maybe the hope in there is knowing that we can actually do something, and the despair around will we. Hope and despair around belonging, hope and despair around dismantling white supremacy.
Thank you, Ben.
And thank you everyone for bringing all of your hope and despair into this room together. So what Marcus and I are going to do actually is we're going to demonstrate the eating of the karpas with our masks. This is a new experience for a lot of us. So first you just get to watch us, and Marcus will be dancing this out. And then we'll all join together and eat the karpas together. So I'm going to invite all of us to take 2 deep breaths through our masks, okay? And then what we will be doing is we will pick up the karpas. We'll pick this up. You don't have to do it yet. We're just watching. Pick it up, and we will dip it in the water, in the salt water. And then we will say the blessing together with our masks still on. And I just want to point out, we're saying a blessing over this plant, but it will still be holding the taste of the salt water. So the whole point of this blessing is actually for us eating this. So we get to feel the spring through the salt water. And then we will pull down our masks, put it in, and close our masks, replace the mask there, and chew. That's what we're bringing into this. All right, are you ready to enter this meditation? Okay, so please join me and all of us as we take 2 deep breaths through our mask. Okay, then pick up the karpas from your plates. Hold it in the air. And then dip it in the water and kind of swoosh it around. Really get those tear juices in there and feel the grief that we've felt during this time. And now we'll say the blessing together. Do you want to say the blessing?
Sure. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ruach ha'olam, borei peri ha'adamah. a taste in the presence of the infinite. We savor the flavor of the fruits of our earth.
Amen. I would love to invite Shaye. That's probably the guitar in front of the monitor. I apologize. Shaye, Jen. Oh, Noam, Rabbi Noam, can you put that back for 1 second? Thank you. Jen Schlossberg, the executive producer of Lunar, the Jewish Asian Film Project, to help us enter into Yachatz, enter into this fourth step.
My friends, we now arrive at the Yachatz, brokenness, incomplete. I want to share this quote with you from Mr. Jeff Chung. I want to love us, but I don't know who us is. Jeff is speaking to the brokenness and the incompleteness and the identity crisis that's inherent to being Asian American. Asian America, we are Yachatz, we are broken. There are many continents, many countries, many languages, many ways of being that encompasses being Asian American, which leaves any single one of us confused of how we fit into the label. Asian America is broken in another way too, because every other day, a woman, an elder, someone who used to be one of us becomes an ancestor. We say Kaddish, we remember their yahrzeit, but it is not enough. It is not enough because every day, every week, every month, we have to deal with the tragedy of one of us' lives being expendable. In the last 2 years, I have moved mostly in brokenness because I don't know another way to move, because as an Asian woman, my life is in danger and I cannot think of another way to live. How do we ever live to a place of being complete and being whole when every single day a piece of us is broken off, a piece of the matzah of Asian Americanness is ripped from us? Today, I'm going to tell you another story of brokenness. I am a second generation Chinese American immigrant woman. But today I'm going to tell you the story of a first generation Chinese American man, probably from the area of Toisan in southern China, who immigrated to the United States in the late 1800s. This man wrote a poem, Poem 43. We don't know who he is, but he is a man, and he wrote a poem inscribed onto the walls of the Angel Island Immigration Detention Center. Angel Island is to San Francisco is what Ellis Island is to New York. I'm sure many of you had ancestors who came through from New York. So hear this man's story. I'm going to read it in Mandarin and English. This is among over 100 poems inscribed in the detention barracks of Angel Island. Conditions there were harsh. The days were long. They had their very own personal Mitzrayim that they could not escape. These men came to the U.S. in the late 1800s in search of a better life, but what they found was a brutal detention center. They agonized over when they would get to freedom and see their families again. I'm going to read you the story of one such man in English and Chinese, but first in Mandarin. 囚困木屋天复天，自由束缚岂堪言？举目谁欢怀静坐，关心自闷不成眠。日永蹲坐愁莫解，夜长枕冷欠谁怜？渗透敌中孤苦味，何如提去学耕田？ You don't need to know the words, you just need to feel the rhythm and the pain and the agony. So now I'm going to read the translation in English. Imprisoned in the wooden building day after day, my freedom withheld, how can I bear to talk about it? I look to see who is happy, but they only sit quietly. I am anxious and depressed and cannot fall asleep. The days are long and the bottle constantly empty. My sad mood even so is not dispelled. Nights are long and the pillow cold. Who can pity my loneliness? After experiencing such loneliness and sorrow, why not just return home and learn to plow the fields? As you let the ripples of that poem wash over you and you think about Yachatz, you think about brokenness. Think about how broken it must be to be an Asian American today. Asian America is broken because every single day we get murdered, we get killed, we get called, we get harassed. We get treated like less than human, and we don't get treated like American. Asian America is broken because the America part of that equation doesn't want us here. So as you go forward in your Seder tonight, just remember this. To be broken is to be oppressed. It's to endure such intergenerational trauma, you don't know what to do with it. But also it's to be resilient and to move forward and to seguir adelante. Entonces, so we're here with brokenness, but in brokenness there is beauty. In imperfection, there is emergence. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Hi. Okay, I guess you can all hear me. I'm Kavi Subramanian, and I'm a fellow with the Jews of Color Initiative, currently working with Lab Shul. So yeah, in that really powerful message, Jen spoke about the brokenness of Asian America and of Asian American Judaism as a process of, excuse me, as a process of destruction, but also one of regeneration. And as we continue with our Seder, let's just, keep this message in mind and consider our places in that process of breaking and brokenness and repair. So we invite someone from each table to lift the middle matzah as we break the matzah together to symbolize this brokenness. I don't know where the matzah is.
So we're going to get you some matzah for sure, Kavi. And I want to acknowledge, for those of us who are GF, apologies. This is, I feel like it's a Yom Kippur moment. We missed the mark. The gluten-free matzahs never arrived. So deep apologies. And perhaps just hold symbolically the matzah you have, but you'll not be able to eat the bread of affliction when we are going to eat it, lest you get an affliction from the gluten in the matzah. Oh, there is a box. Okay, if you are gluten-free, you don't need it yet. We're not at Motzi Matzah. Don't get excited yet. But if you do need a piece, wow. What is your name? Jessica. Let's have hands up for Jessica. Jessica brought a box of gluten-free matzah and perhaps is willing to share that special commodity that you have. Okay, so now back to the ritual with Kavi at Yachatz.
Yeah, I'm gonna break it now. Need two hands.
Mm.
Pulling up my notes. So yeah, in most conventional seders, you take the larger of these two pieces, called the afikomen, and you hide it, and then people look for it, and then whoever finds it gets a money or treat or some sort of reward. And so tonight we're gonna do something a little different. I'm still gonna hide it. I'm still gonna hide the afikomen, and you're all invited to look for it also. And when the afikomen is found, it's going to act as sort of an activator for a little bit of repair that we're going to do here. And we're going to invite you to contribute financially to one of our partner organizations, which is they're listed on the back of your menu, which are all run by or focused on non-white Jews.
We have that link in the chat too for people on Zoom.
And also, if you, for some reason, there's an obstacle to donating right now, totally feel free to do it after the holiday.
Thank you, Kavi.
is that you're already all picking up on what this is. So this is a nigun, a melody from a Manishna that I wrote as part of a show called Go Down Moshe. And thank you. And the show revolves around the question, what does the Exodus story, what does the story of Jewish liberation mean to a queer Black Jewish American person? And the thing is that I still don't totally know the answer to this question. How very Jewish, right? But this show, this Manish Tanah, is one sort of possible answer to it. So what we're going to do, what's familiar about this Manish Tanah is Manish Tanah halayla hazeh mikol halaylot. How is this night different from every other night? I've kept that. But each of the verses of the Manish Tanah, rather than, about why do we recline or any of the other things that we do, each verse is derived from a Negro spiritual or a civil rights song, or the imagery of one of those things to really put a visceral meaning to how is this night that we are seeking collective liberation, different from every other night. And so we're going to do the chorus with the words, and I'm going to do one of the verses, and we're just going to do the chorus a couple of times. And as you pick it up, much like the Nigun, feel free to sing along with me. Manishtanah halayla hazeh mikol halaylot. 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 Why is this night different from every other night? Why is this night different from every other night? I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, no, turn me around. I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Gonna keep on walking, marching into freedom land. Mikol halaylot, manishtanah halayla hazeh mikol halaylot. 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 Manishtanah halayla hazeh mikol halaylot.
Thank you so much, Marcus, for bringing your words, your melodies, your music, helping us to connect and to open. We move now into an orienting and grounding practice. Earlier, it led us in a practice of coming into our own bodies more fully. Now we move into the space around us, preparing ourselves to move into the unknown wilderness that lays ahead. Of course, we begin with breath. Just taking a couple grounding breaths here. We're going to keep our eyes open because now we want to move into this space with our eyes fully open, both literally and metaphorically. So here we now get long in the spine and curve forward so that we're looking down at the ground. Again, noticing the dimensions around us, but here we're in an observing and orienting state. So notice the ground, notice the earth firm and holding you up, the earth that you may walk through in the journey ahead. Keep the spine long and now curve it up so that we're looking at the sky above, which may be ceiling for you, that's okay. We're just noticing the space around us, noticing the colors, textures, and patterns, allowing ourselves to be more fully aware of our surroundings. Continue to breathe, come back to center, and now we'll take a nice twist so that we're looking directly behind, 180 degrees. Notice what is behind you, what's in your space, objects, colors, textures, patterns, observing and coming more fully into awareness. Take a breath and come back to center, and then twist the other way. Get a nice twist through the spine and hips as we then again look behind us, but from the other direction. Noticing what's behind, what's not there. Allowing ourselves to settle a little more fully into our bodies as we take a breath and come back to center. Finally, we look all around our space, ahead and around, fully orienting to where we are in this place. Pay particular attention to doors and windows. These are the openings. These are the ways in which we can find more expansion, literally in our space, as we also look metaphorically into our bodies and our hearts. If we start to feel the constriction, the mitzrayim, the narrowness, this is how, even without moving, we can find a little bit more openness. And finally, as we move into the story of the journey into the wilderness, of Exodus, of moving from constriction into openness, into freedom, we need to know who we are going with. And so I invite you now to look around at the people around you. This may be in three-dimensional physical space, looking around. This is also looking at those who you can see on the screen, right? Take a pause. Try to pause on as many different faces as you can, just taking a moment to orient to who is here on this journey. And as we prepare to move through the narrow and broken places and embark on this journey together, we allow ourselves to continue coming into awareness and groundingness and settling into our bodies and into this space together, allowing for that space, allowing for that pause and openness as we now move further into our story together.
So friends, we are getting ready to head into step 5 of our Seder, the Magid section. And as a Magid, this could be my favorite part of the whole evening, actually. So I just wanted to give you that quick heads up that this is also now a good time to refill your glasses.
So Lewis is about to share this story with us, and it's also framed for us tonight how we raise these glasses, who our toasts are to. We had our first glass of transformation to self-sovereignty that Dr. Harriet led us in. And I invite us to lift this second cup of transformation from racist to anti-racist. We raise this second cup as we head into the exploration of the Magid, of the story. It is your invitation to transformation. No longer allowing ourselves to get turned around and dragged down internally, externally, or any other externally into racism and moving forward into anti-racism. Everybody on a path, everybody knowing what they need to do. So please raise your glass if you're ready and say, Hineni, I am here. Chaim. Let's check that mic. Lewis, up here. There you go.
Thank you, Naomi. And thank you all for being here. I'd like to ask everyone to take a moment for silence, to be here and be now. Can you hear me? Thank you all. I'm going to invite us to take 3 deep breaths. I invite you to take a deep breath in and exhale. I invite you to gently close your eyes as you inhale and exhale. Imagine you are sitting by a fire under the stars. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Open your eyes and remember the feeling by the fire as you hear this, the story of Exodus 57:82. Once upon a time, there was a woman who was a mother named Yocheved. She held her child Moses by the river and thought about what Pharaoh said. Throw the Hebrews, newborns, into the river. One might come for me. She'd rather not throw them. So she asked God, why this and what to do? And in the silence, she heard the river. Knowing the basket would float, she lowered them into it. She carried him gentle and placed him in the water. With a farewell, the tide took him, Moses drawn from the water. The city, present day, the year 5782. Moses grew up, found by Pharaoh's daughter, and raised like one of them. Though Moses always thought it was strange how they looked just like the Hebrews, their plight felt by them. The Hebrews lived under the knee of Pharaoh's officers. Miriam sat with grief. She just lost another brother. Aaron, too. George Floyd. People knelt under the weight of their grief. They mourned. They cried out to God, end 400 years of oppression. They answered their own call. They gathered and they marched. Moses watched as they protested their reality. They felt as if they stood in the middle of a bridge with a presence unknown. When they saw the lives taken, they could no longer stand idly by. At the same time, Moses felt, what can I do? If I stand up to them, they'll hurt me. Overwhelmed, they ran away. The people stayed, though, and continued to act up. They took action, marching to the beat of their drum. Moses heard the drumming from the other side of the water. The reminder of what they left behind stressed them out. So they decided to burn some bush to help them relax. They thought they heard a voice. This bush was good. Moses missed the halal food in the city. They wondered why they were so hungry all of a sudden. They debated going back for the food. Then they remembered why they left. There is no pride in genocide. Triggered once more, they turned back to the burning bush. Then they heard it again. Less a voice, more a feeling. It is what it is. They realized, if I'm willing to go back for the lamb over rice, then I can go back for my people. My. Moses felt the truth of this my. They had to go back. This time, Moses didn't run, they marched. When they got back to the city, they found Pharaoh trying not to hear the people. Moses tapped him on the shoulder and started to say, end this brutality, let my people. But before they could finish, Pharaoh pulled out his headphones to tune him out. They could not believe this man really pulled out some headphones. Moses grew frustrated. Anger wasn't working. So they tried humor and looked at him like, so you're really going to do me like this? Pharaoh smiled. He remembered this look from when they played as children, back when his dad was Pharaoh and Moses his friend. Moses shouted the imperative, "Let my people go!" Pharaoh heard them through the cushions, so he took off his headphones and told them, "Get out." Moses retreated, wondering, what now? Afterwards, in the narrow place, the response to the above call to end brutality was this. Moses didn't know if their stand made things worse. Then again, things had already been pretty terrible for the Hebrews. While the citizens of the narrow place lived well, they were forced to serve them, making them comfortable in their oppression. Moses now understood the people had nothing to lose and their lives to gain. Their bodies were already subject to the whims of Pharaoh, so they had no fear of death. They were living it. Moses walked and thought about all of this. They wandered back to the river and heard the rustle of a staff in the grass, branches still attached. They picked it up and felt their wonder flow through them. Suddenly, the river turned red and ran with the blood of Pharaoh's victims of first plague. A second plague arrived croaking. The frogs and toads, their friends, shall come up on you and on your people and on all your courtiers. Then the bugs came, a third plague. Each sign overwhelmed Pharaoh until he relented. But the moment he was free of strife, his ego consumed him. He turned in circles, letting the people go and calling them back. Miriam was over his twirling, so she stepped in for Moses and let her wonder flow through. Pharaoh heard a rumble. Wild animals escaped from the zoo and charged him, a fourth plague. Then came a pestilence, which spread across the city, a fifth plague. The next day, Pharaoh woke up to boils, a sixth plague. He'd had enough. But when his skin cleared and the sickness subsided and the animals left, his ego consumed his heart once more. He spun round and around, letting us go and calling us back. Aaron grew tired of Pharaoh's flip-flopping. He took his anger and threw it to the ground. He gathered up his energy and screamed it to the sky. Hail fell from the sky, a seventh plague, and locusts swarmed, an eighth. Until finally the lights went out and all was dark, a plague of darkness, the ninth. Pharaoh was at a loss. He'd always been told he was a god, and yet here he was, powerless before the people. Moses warned him, if you don't let us go, you'll lose what you care about most, your firstborn, capitalism. A 10th plague. Pharaoh didn't believe them. He didn't know that they told the people, boycott Pharaoh's businesses. If you stand with us, write Black Lives Matter on your doors, and the boycott will pass over you. Those that don't express solidarity don't need our coins. Pharaoh was too stunned to speak when he woke up the next day to see that the Kmart on Astor Place had closed forever. New Yorkers mourn the closing of the Astor Place Kmart. Attention, Kmart shoppers. It's the end of an era. Pharaoh had had enough. Again, he pointed, get out. This time he meant it. The people said bye. Moses smiled with triumph. The people began to leave, and they did not go quietly. They chanted the names of the ones taken from us. They shouted for justice. The citizens of the narrow place did not like what they were hearing. Pharaoh's officers had never brutalized them, so they refused to believe it could happen to anyone else. They asked, "Who will you call if you're in danger?" As if we'd call anyone that assumes us criminals, never innocent, who burst in and shoot first. Who could Breonna Taylor have called? Or Amir Locke? They told the Hebrews, they won't hurt you if you just do what they say. Just comply with oppression, they told us. We, the people, said no. The narrowed beings didn't like this. They started to run after the liberated. They chased them into the red. See, they ran into their own demise. 5 takeaways from the Capitol riot criminal cases 1 year later. A quarter of those charged are accused of physical violence. Many of the accused appear to have military or police backgrounds. January 6, inside the Capitol siege. Man indicted for attacking officer with skateboard during US Capitol riot. Insurrection 1 year later. The people kept it moving. They knew that if they stopped to turn around and engage these fools, they'd be swept up in the tide with them. So instead, they marched on. They moved forward, knowing that when they reached the other side, they would dance. As they marched out of the city and through the waters, they smiled at its beauty, knowing that the narrowed beings were just behind them, reminded them why they moved towards liberation, to enjoy their one life. For the only good a being can have under the sun is to eat and drink and enjoy themselves. Ecclesiastes. They began to sing their joy and protest. Miriam pulled out her timbrel. Aaron meditated with his glee. Moses rejoiced at their exodus. The wilderness was before them. They knew that wherever they ended up might already have people in it, so they aimed to be good neighbors because they knew how it felt to be a stranger in a narrow place, and they never wanted to treat others the way they'd been treated by Pharaoh. Moses of the city, end of Storah. The Seder continues, only 4 hours left. Just kidding, maybe, we'll see. So in the story of Exodus, Moses, Miriam, and Aaron make it to the other side and enter the wilderness. But in our story, where we are now, we are still in the water. We are marching towards liberation, and the narrowed people are just behind us. It is essential for us not to get swept up in the tide with them, not to let them turn us around, but rather to keep on marching towards freedom. We are in the water, and we don't have to drown. We are in the water.
Journey by Rabbi and Rav Kohenet Jill Hammer. In the water, between a pillar of cloud and a pillar of fire, the sea yawns, birth canal. In the water, labyrinth, blood-painted door, we enter joyfully. In the water, that the future is just ahead. We enter afraid. In the water, of what pursues us. We enter present with not knowing. In the water. We have escaped slavery, just barely. Someone bought our freedom. We're not sure who. Ancestors in the water. Children, prophets, the all-weaver, the angel of death. To either side in the water. The water is mirrors, is windows, is a view of the deep. In the water. Just ahead is darkness, is a light shining. In the water. Is the sound of singing and the pounding of feet. In the water. In the water.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al nitilat yadayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al nitilat yadayim. A drop in the presence of the infinite. We treasure our sacred tradition, immersing our hands in the waters of life. A drop in the presence of the infinite. We treasure our sacred tradition, immersing our hands in the waters of life.
So now we're at step 7. That matzah that we broke earlier, we're actually going to get to eat it here in a minute. I am pleased to have Reverend Derek McQueen here with me for this next part. And yes, more of that. So that show that I mentioned earlier, Godan Moshe, there is a nigun from that show that I wrote called Harriet's Nigun for Harriet Tubman. And it is based on the words that she is alleged to have sung when she left the Poplar Neck Plantation in Maryland. And so I've taken that nigun and put it to the words of Halachma Anya. This prayer, this moment, this acknowledgement of this bread of affliction. And I'm going to sing it in Hebrew, and then Reverend Derek will do it in English. Halachma Anya. Halachma Anya. Diachalu Avatana. Mitzrayim. We are raising this bread of affliction, eaten
in the New York Times, there's a photograph taken of a loaf of bread sitting on a bench in Kharkiv. It is an abandoned loaf of bread. And in its crevices, there's snow. And behind it, blurred, are the blood of someone who was hit by a bomb or a bullet. A modern day image of the bread of affliction. Bread of affliction is such a paradox for us. For we know that it is the bread of affliction that actually can help us sustain and to live. And yet, with every single bite, we are reminded of our oppression. We are reminded of the injustice. The big question, though, is if this bread of affliction is made by the hands of those who love us and those who we love, where does the affliction come from? Bread of affliction carries the weight of the oppression that comes from without. It does not come from within. So when we eat this bread of affliction, when we break this bread of affliction, break the affliction and let its crumbs fall to the ground so that we can be sustained not just by the bread, but by the fingers that put the ingredients together, by the fire that burned it so that we would be able to be sustained. Do not let those who would put affliction on your bread be ingested into your bodies. Shake off the affliction and eat to your fill. Ashe.
Ashe.
Amen.
Amen.
And amen.
Amen.
This is the bread that we carry. And this year we are here. This year we are here in our journey. Perhaps next year we will be in the homelands of our promise, the homelands of our choosing, if we continue on the journey. I say this because I know that this year I am still enslaved. I know that this year we are all enslaved. But don't stop yearning. We yearn to be free. I was at a service today for Good Friday and had to preach a sermon on these words. It is finished. These three words in my tradition are the beginning of hopelessness. No hope. No future. However, when that bread was broken on Passover the night before, they were reminded that the promises of one who said, "You will go free," shall never rest just with one Messiah. That when one says, "It is finished," the role of Messiah rests on you to bring into being the divine space of injustice. No racism, no sexism, no homophobia. You are the Messiahs. And when you lead your people out, you're going to need some bread. So we are where we are. And now, as you did before with the ritual lowering of the masks, now in your tables, as we move forward with this blessing, follow the same rhythm that you did before. Get your bread, say the blessing. Together, let us remove our mask and reveal the fullness of our beauties. Let us eat and then save our beauty for a little bit later.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ruach haolam, asher kiddushanu, b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat matzah.
A taste in the presence of the infinite. We partake in our sacred tradition by eating this matzah in the bread of paradise.
Yeah. Thank you, Reverend Derek. Thank you for taking some of your holiday time and being with us in our community. We love you. Another brother of faith, Sensei Koshin, in the New York Sun Center of Contemplative Care. Will you take us into our next step in this pathway, this journey?
I invite you just to be quiet. This evening, I'm thinking about Jeremy Cohen, a young Jewish man who was beaten in Paris a few days ago. And I want us to remember that we're sitting, those of us who are in person are sitting in a room that in order to be in this room, we had to go through metal detectors and have security people here because it is unsafe. And that there are many places of worship where that people don't have that. And as Jews, we need that here in New York City in 2022. I'm just reflecting on the bitterness that is in all of our hearts that causes violence, causes us not to see each other as human, causes us to get busy and distracted, and to forget to actually look at the people in the eye and actually wonder how they're doing inside of themselves. To think about all the Jeremy Cohens in this world. And how easily we can get distracted and not be aware of our impact, of how our distraction impacts everyone. So to me, it's such an incredible opportunity in this Seder to reflect on, yes, I can get bitter and caught up. I can get resentful and want to be in control over what I cannot be in control of. And I can cause harm by just not even extending my eyes, extending my curiosity and care to who I'm with. So as we prepare to eat what's bitter, how do you actually atone for your own bitterness? Maybe even since this morning, how have you been a little less kind than actually you needed to be? How have you been aware of your actions? And to me, it's about that is a joyful process of saying, I can do that, and say, yes, I do that too. And to me, that is the place that we can begin to build a common ground of compassion. But without that understanding of how we're all responsible, we're always othering. So let's just sit for a moment in appreciation of our bitterness, and so that we can extend compassion to people who are caught up too, just like us. May all beings have a place that they can gather in safety. May all beings actually experience love and express that love to people in their life. Thank you.
Will you eat the bitterness with me? Thank you. So we'll say this blessing together, bringing in all that Sensei Koshin has invited us to consider. And take your maror. I forgot to mention that. That's the maror. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu roach
Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat maror. A spoonful or a bite, whatever you need. In the presence of the infinite, we treasure these sacred traditions we're doing tonight that are not empty rituals, that are full of meaning. To eat this bitter root of bitterness, hardship, the maror. Test, okay.
And after we taste the maror, the bitter herb by itself, we have an opportunity to taste it again, this time in the form of a sandwich. So I'm going to invite you to take a piece of matzah, break it in half, take another piece of maror, a bitter herb if you can find one, dip it in the charoset, in that purpley brown sweet apple goodness that's before you on your Seder
Take
plate.
some for us over here.
And we're gonna, what did you say?
Dr. Harriet.
Oh, thank you. Very important to know. There are nuts in the charoset. Thank you, Ari. I apologize for not knowing that before I said so. So once more, to be very clear, there are nuts in the charoset. Please do not dip and eat if that is something that is not okay for your body. Thanks, Ari. The writer and facilitator Adrienne Marie Brown says, there is a conversation in this room, the wide room, the virtual room in addition to the physical room. There is a conversation in this room that only these people at this moment can have. Find it. And in a sense, I think that is a way of talking about what it is to be in a community and living in the bitter sweetness of becoming better together. Can I taste the wholeness of what's here? In Moses of the City, Lewis writes, we combine the charoset with the maror between two pieces of matzah. We eat this sandwich and taste the reality of life, that it is bittersweet, never perfect. There will always be moments of strife alongside moments of joy. There is no light without shadow and no shadow without light. If you haven't taken a moment yet to taste this bittersweetness, now is a good time. Justice work is healing work because justice is relational. Healing our relationships with others, healing our relationships with ourselves. Take a look at everything inside you, even the parts you'd rather turn away from if you really want to heal. Everything spirals upwards from there. So I want in this moment, as we transition into our third cup of wine, I just want to take a toast to your becoming. You're becoming in the fullness of yourself, in the bitterness, in the sweetness, in the paradox, the bothness of that. And I'm going to hand this mic off to Louis.
Amen. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben. I invite us all to raise our glasses. This is our third cup to becoming. The ability to change, to transform from sexist to feminist. May it be so.
Amen. Amen. wonder. I feel like the fan favorite was the potato kugel, am I right? Give it up for the potato kugel if that was your favorite. How many of you were quinoa fans? Saskia's holding down the quinoa. Okay, let's keep it real. How many of you were matzo kugel fans? Be honest. We know you're out there. I know. I wonder what they ate out in Zoomland. Should we hear? What did people eat out in Zoomland? What was on your course? We had some pasta. We had 2 versions of kugel, 1 kind of pasta. What did they have in Zoomland?
Hey, I'm just getting back onto the Zoom meeting, but the first thing that I saw is, well, we have all had some wine and liberation, so typing ... is a little more challenging than it used to be. That's the first thing I'm seeing.
Did they mix up libation and liberation?
Yes, indeed.
I think they might have. Okay. But I'll be here through dessert. Anything else coming up in the Zoom, Ben?
Brisket, rice, and vegetables. Keep them coming, folks. Ooh, there was some chicken tortilla soup.
Chicken tortilla soup.
Yeah.
Where's that from? Wow.
Matzo with goat cheese and smoked salmon. That sounds really good.
Matzo, goat cheese, and poached salmon. Hello.
Woohoo! I'm very excited to make my first Manischewitz Passover coffee cake tomorrow.
You're going to do that?
Uh-huh. I love
Oh, Ben, welcome. Welcome. So let's sing this one more time. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Die, die, in you. Die, die, in you. 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 Die, die, in you. Die, die, in you. I want to hear from Sam Newsom one more time. I just have one question. When you two get in an argument at home, do you do it with solo scats by, back and forth? Diane, it would have been enough if we had Meg Okora and Sam Newsom on our stage tonight. I think we're ready for Yoshi.
Thank you, Marcus and Naomi, and the entire team for welcoming us back.
Can we back it up so we can hear him?
Musically.
Is that possible?
Thank you, Marcus and Naomi, and the entire team for welcoming us back so festively and so musically. I hope everyone has enjoyed the dinner portion of Seder. And of course, what do we say when we've enjoyed some good, nourishing food? We say, So I'd love to hear everyone just feel it in your belly, that Go ahead. Let me hear you. Yeah, and from wherever you are, if you're calling in from your computer, zooming on in, go ahead, make that sound. I hope you've had some nourishing food as well. That sound, the hum, is said to be like strumming the vagus nerve, which is the core of our central nervous system that connects us to ourselves and to each other and to creation. The hum, that is also the sound of the letter Mem, the Hebrew letter that is one of the mother letters from Kabbalah. It's a letter that connects us to Adamah, to the earth, to the ground, and to Mother Earth. So let us now take several deep breaths with a hum on the exhale. And I really want to encourage us to let that hum out and let us connect us to our bodies that have carried us, to the earth that feeds us through food, to the community that sustains us, and all of the vibrations that reverberate in and through everything that connects us and brings us together. So let's take a nice deep breath and hum. You can close your eyes or lower them if you want. Keep on going. Feel the hum in your belly. Feel it in the mouth. Feel the vibrations of the earth below. If you're surrounded by other people, if you're hearing it through the screen, however it may be, feel the vibrations coming from around you and through you, sustaining all of us. One final hum together. Inhale. Thank you all so much for being with us, for humming together. We will now move into Tzafun, our next Seder step. Thanks so much.
So I invite you to refill your cups, refuel, and lift your cups as we consider moving from narrow to liberated. 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 Narrow to liberated.
Narrow to liberated. Narrow to liberated.
Narrow to liberated.
Narrow to liberated.
Narrow to liberated.
Narrow to liberated.
Narrow to liberated.
Narrow to liberated. So we want to invite our other JOCI fellow, Mariam Shishti, who is on Zoom, I believe, to take front and center stage on that Zoom. Are we going to bring her up here too? Amazing. No? Maybe. We don't know. There she is. Here we go.
Hello, everyone. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Yeah, thumbs up. Awesome. My name is Mariam, and on top of being a fellow at Lab Shul, not yet. Okay, that's coming. I'll wait for some. Okay, yay. Again, my name is Mariam, and on top of being a fellow at Lab Shul, I am also the director of community engagement at Lunar, the Jewish Asian Film Project. And Lunar is an organization, a JOC organization that makes creative video content and community events free of charge for Asian Jews. We are so proud to be a partner with Lab Shul tonight on what's been a really, really beautiful Seder, and we thank them for uplifting our work. So what I wanted to do with all of you tonight, if you'd like, is I'd like to share a piece from our new and very exciting Asian Jewish Haggadah that's going to be read in its full form for the first time tomorrow night. But I wanted to share a piece with you tonight because we have imagined over in Lunar Land what Dayenu looks like for us today as Asian Jews. But before we begin and before we do that, I'd like to make a call. If you are an Asian Jew that is with us tonight, first of all, hi. And second of all, if you can leave your name in the chat, I would love to call you into Dayenu at some point. So if you can chat your name, and Ben, if anyone in person is an Asian Jew and would like to raise their hand, we can try to get your name there in the chat too, and I can call you out. All right, so how this is going to work is we're going to see some slides on the screen, hopefully, and I'm going to be reading in the white bold lettering. And if you can join me in responding with Lo Dayenu, that would be really beautiful. Okay, here we go. Until Asian women feel safe in public spaces.
Lo Dayenu.
Until Asian elders can walk freely on the streets near their homes. Lo Dayenu. Until the loyalty of Asian Americans is not drawn into question when in a global crisis. Lo Dayenu. Until Asian Americans no longer have to prove our Americanness or our roots in this country. Lo Dayenu. Until all Asian Americans, multi-generational, intersectional, feel heard. Lo Dayenu. Until Asian Jews are not assumed to be spouses in the process of conversion. Lo Dayenu. Until Asian Jews are not mistaken as staff at Shul. Lo Dayenu. Until where are you really from is asked from a place of connection and not intrusive commentary. Lo Dayenu. Until interfaith Asian Jews are not expected to just pick a side. Lo Dayenu. Until Asian Jews are not seen as half but wholly Jewish. Lo Dayenu. Until South and Southeast Asian Jews feel seen. Lo Dayenu. Until Asian Jewish adoptees feel heard. Lo Dayenu. Until patrilineal Asian Jews feel held. Lo Dayenu. Until queer and trans Asian Jews feel whole. Lo Dayenu. All right, this is the fun part. All right. Until Hame feels whole. Lo Dayenu. I know that we have another JSU fellow who's an Asian Jew, so I'm going to call their name in here. Until Kavi feels whole. Lo Dayenu. And I will call myself in as well. Until Mariam feels whole. Lo Dayenu. Thank you guys so much for doing that with me. That was really beautiful and wonderful. Now, in talking about how we can make people feel safe and whole and safe and held, we're going to bring it back to the Afikomen. Remember that? So we can go on to there, Naomi, if you want to.
I wonder, did somebody find the Afikomen? And first of all, before we do this, I just want to call out Mariam. Thank you so much for rolling with the punches here in Zoom land and bringing your incredible presence here and allowing us to be the privileged recipients of literally the debut of this incredible litany that is so powerful and calling all of us in. And I know you're going to be, we'll talk during our upcoming events that you'll, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the screen, but I should look at the camera. She can't see me from there. I know that we'll be talking about the Seder that you all are going to be doing tomorrow night. If you'll stay around, maybe I'll call on you again to just share a piece of information about that, okay? Amazing, thank you. So did somebody find the Afikomen? Javi, I know we hit it, right? Yeah, no one found it? Okay, guess what? Sorry, we have to stay here all night. Look around, did anybody find it? Is it in this room? Oh, Ben hit it. Sam hit it. It's in this room. Okay, is anybody hot or cold? Sam, just give us the hot cold situation. Okay, hot means you're close to it, cold means you're really far. John's warm, John is warm. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Oh. Marcus, do you want to come up with me? Okay, do we are it's in a white napkin. It's not your oh! I don't have my glasses on. What is your name? Lisa. Lisa found the Afikomen. We can all thank Lisa that we get to leave tonight. Lisa, you are basically like that Afikomen is the key. That Afikomen is going to be, the Afikomen really means dessert. And it is traditionally eaten, you know, it's sort of like, it's the plus one. It's like we've been sustained, we've been fulfilled, our bellies have been filled, and yet there's even more abundance. There's even more abundance here. And with that abundance, that Afikomen is going to be the key to activate us. This is how we practice care in the movement for liberation, by engaging with our communities, Jews of color, run and focused work, organization, calls. And so you'll see on this slide, I'm going to explain how to do this. Remember earlier when we broke that middle matzah, Kavi invited us into this, that we're going to be invited to actually begin that work of repair tonight, even tonight, to support and to engage and to acknowledge and to lean in to the work of anti-racism. And so what you have here is on your phones, and by the way, if you don't use your phones on the Chag, please take those, the little Ben's going to hold it up, Clergy Ben to the rescue. You can take this home with you or take it, you know, or we'll send it out to all of our registrants afterwards. At the top of the screen, you'll see that opening website, https://bit.ly/. And then every organization, the end of that phrase there, every organization has like Lab Shul JOCMP, JOC Mishpacha Project, Lab Shul Amud, Lab Shul Lunar, Lab Shul Mitsui. These are all unique links to their ability, their donation pages. There's also, if you have a phone, there's a QR code on the back of that menu. You can just scan that code. So we're gonna take a minute right now as we sing what is traditionally a song of prophets, a song of vision, knowing that these organizations are doing visionary work. So we will sing Eliyahu Hanavi as an impetus for us to do this work together. no way of knowing how much everyone on Zoom and how much everyone in this room donated. But maybe the people on Zoom might, if you feel like sharing which organization you might have donated to, or maybe around this table, if you donated just now. The idea here is a beautiful opportunity to dig into our abundance and allow for even more abundance to happen in the world. Speaking of abundance, oh, can we get that center mic on? Thank you so much.
I'm going to invite us now into a practice of gratitude. This prayer that we're about to sing is traditionally a blessing for the gift of sustenance in the form of bread or matzah. But I also want to invite you to reflect on what in this evening was sustaining for you. Perhaps it was the gift of seeing yourself uplifted, cherished, honored, put in a place of deep respect. Perhaps it was the sustenance of the discomfort of being taken off center. Those are two options. There are many more. I can't know what the sustenance was for you, but I want to invite you to take a moment to ask yourself, what in this evening was sustaining for me that I will take away, that I want to bless now?
I'm watching the chat for you. I've become clergy Ben.
And this song we're going to sing is Brich Rachamana. It's a song in a very tight close version, thank you, of the blessing after meals. It goes like this. Brich Rachamana, al kadei al We're holding for an announcement.
I think they caught the gratitude moment.
All right, beautiful. Here we go. And Brich Rachamana.
So we're going to take this moment to do some thank yous in the context of this incredible, terse, very, very efficient Grace After Meals, I have to say. So Marcus.
So we're going to start with the hands, both visible and hidden, that provided us with sustenance and support tonight. Starting with Jacob, Magnoli, and everyone at Yala T-Neck Catering.
Yalla! And we also want to thank our incredible friends and partners at Global Media for the incredible audio and visual. Was this? I hope the folks on Zoom felt really held. Richie, Ryan, and the whole team, Randy.
And Jesse Kelly, our fabulous photographer.
And also one of our participants in our Passage program, our Rites of Passage program. And we also, of course, want to thank our organizational partners, Lunar, Mitsui Collective, the JOC Mishpacha Project, and Amud Jews of Color Torah Academy.
We also definitely want to thank the Marlene, Meyerson, JCC for having us tonight, the program facilities and AV teams in particular. Thank y'all.
We want to thank our incredible Lab Shul production team. We have Sean and Ackley here today, and Louis and Jordana. And not here, but across the world is Greta. And who's on Zoom tonight? I don't know. Ashley on Zoom, thank you. Thank you, Ashley. And
Sylvia as well.
And Sylvie as well. Thank you to Sylvie and to Ashley.
And to Jamie Wolowitz and all of the volunteers that we have here in the room. If you're one of our volunteers tonight, please stand up or raise your hands.
If you had anything to do with helping in the last minute volunteering, raise your hand high too. We want to thank those of you who stepped up in the moment. We want to thank the Jews of Color Initiative in general for the generous support for this incredible Seder, and to our fellows, Kavi and Mariam, who added so much to this Seder.
We also want to extend a thank you to our Lab Shul staff that's been behind the scenes making sure this ran as smoothly as possible, including our program manager, Ari Muntz, and our director of community engagement, Sam Hitchman, and our co-founder and executive director, Sarah Sakar.
Ritual leaders, guests, and part of our team here. First of all, Rabbi Noam. Where's Rabbi Noam? There you are, right behind me. And to Ben Freeman, clergy Ben, everybody, and to building this beautiful and inviting us to build this beautiful altar together. Don't forget to bring your altar items home. And to our guest ritual leaders, Reverend Derek McQueen and Sensei Koshin Paley Ellison.
We also want to thank artist Rebecca Samaga Frank, who did that beautiful water video, and our musicians up here tonight. We have Meg Okura over on violin, Saskia Lane on the bass, Zafer on all of the percussion.
Zafer Tawil, everybody.
And our special guest tonight, Sam Newsom.
We also want to really thank every single person who sponsored a ticket for someone else to attend Seder Queen.
And anyone and everyone who stretched their own abilities to be here tonight, whether in this room or online with us on Zoom.
I saved the last one for the person of the hour, Louis Burgos, our artist in residence. LouisFromTheBlock.com. You better get your Haggadah. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you, Louis. Thank you. And I'd like to thank my co-ritual leader, Marcus Holly.
And I would like to thank my co-ritual leader, Naomi Latz.
So we're going to sing a little bit to close this out, but two things. Look around the room. Look around the Zoom room. We've been on a journey together. Do you remember what you came here for in the beginning when you shared with your table? How's that landing for you now? Right? Maybe you came and got something unexpected. Maybe you came and accessed what you came here for. Give thanks, give thanks, give thanks. So I have an announcement before we go into sort of our closing rituals of Hallel and Nirtzah, where we have two songs we're going to sing together and just bring the house down. When we finish, we have to have a hard out here by 11. So we're going to ask everybody if you would lend a helping hand. What is the helping hand that we actually need? Are there specifics? What? Oh, to leave. That's the helping hand. Go out into the streets of New York City, start dancing on the sidewalk, hold each other, hug each other, love each other, Zoom, you don't have the hardest out, but the people in this room do. So let's bring this together. Ben, thank you for bringing this beautiful Noah Aronson tune to us. Thanks to Rabbi Noam for bringing this tune to us. Here we go.
We've got to praise. We've got to do some praising. And Dr. Kohenet, Dr. Harriet Wims introduced us to a beautiful, beautiful tune earlier this morning. And we're going to sing it again. So I want you to sing with me.
That's right.
We're going to sing. Yes.
Oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong key. That was not perfection. I started in the wrong key. Forgive me. Here we go. B minor. Sounds better. Here we go. We are writing each other's freedom stories, writing the page for God to ourselves. We are writing each other's freedom stories,
planting the seeds of holiness.
Thank you for all that you have done and all that you are doing. Let me take that. So we're at the last step, 14. 14. Louis, will you join us up here? You want to say the prayer? Mm-hmm. No.
We end the Seder by saying, next year in a city of peace and wholeness, next year in Harlem.
Amen, 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 amen.
Friends, this Passover Seder is complete, according to its laws and customs. As we were privileged to participate tonight, may we do so again, alive, free, healthy, and happy.
חסל סידור פסח כהלכתו, ככל משפטו וחוקתו, כאשר זכינו לסדר אותו, כן נזכה לעשותו. Wow. We have a couple things that are coming up. So There's no next year. We're like doing it right now. Like this is the work we're doing right now. We have, Dr. Harriet, do you want to share one word about this?
Absolutely. We
Great.
have an upcoming JOCSM Jews of Color Sephardi and Mizrahi Jew Shabbaton coming up May 6th through 8th. You can learn about it at jocmishpachahproject.org.
Amazing. Thank you, Dr. Harriet. Thank you in all ways. Lunar, Mariam is not with us, but I'll say there's a second Seder tomorrow night featuring a new Haggadah that includes the Dayenu, that a group of a minyan, I'll say, of 10 Asian Jews donated their time to make that Haggadah, and they did it kind of in record time, I believe. The process was really intense and beautiful, and check out Lunar's website to learn more about that. We also have, in the season of Pesach, there is the custom of Yizkor, of a memorial service. And we just had a beautiful, I know a couple of you were here, a beautiful in-person gathering on the 11th to prepare for Pesach. On Saturday of Pesach next week, the 7th day of Pesach, we have a memorial gathering where you can share about your loved ones. Anybody and everyone is welcome. It'll be about an hour online at noon on the 23rd, I believe, on Zoom. And then we also have a Passover Heart Circle. Louis, are you still here? Do you want to say one thing about that? I'm going to people's mic you for the people online. Monday is a JOC affinity space. And Tuesdays for the wider community to share what's on your heart about Passover. And so Louis and I think a couple other folk of our ritual team will be curating that, will be holding that space, correct? Okay. And the last piece I want to share is who wants to go on a boat ride? I do. Lab Shul's annual gala, this is how we're able to do events like this. This is how we're able to support community, is by once a year gathering and helping Lab Shul to sustain itself. But it's so fun, and it's so fun. So please come. This is going to be on I think Circle Line Cruises, and we're honoring some incredible folks for their leadership in a number of different areas. Shift Maker, really incredible grassroots work that Alexis has done. Up there! Oh my God, you are our honoree. This is like, we're star-studded here. Oh my gosh, okay. Thank you. And why don't you come thank her in person on the boat? Okay, that's what we really want you to do. And Renee and Stuart are incredible volunteers that have really kickstarted our Generate program for wise aging. And then Jamie Graver and Oren Chakramat, we are honoring for their, it's too many things that they have done for this community to even try to enumerate. So please come and support Lab Shul and support these incredible honorees. This is a joyful moment. We have, like, we're literally, Miriam Timbrell, let's do it. Will you sing this joy with us as we're kind of heading out? This is sort of our exit music to hug and love each other. This joy that
I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Oh. it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away.
Let your joy